Yeah.
It is time, ladies and gentlemen, for episode 65 of Weeks In.
Yeah, baby. That's awesome.
All right. Welcome to
Friday.
the show, Mr.
Yes.
Graham knows.
Yes,
At
I
Graham
do know.
knows, as it were.
I do. I know things.
You know most everything. And what you don't know, I try to make up for. And together, we are your leading source of useless knowledge, folks.
Of totally useless knowledge. I mean, I don't think we've really ever shared anything that has advanced the progress of mankind, but I'd like to think we've allowed, maybe I should say humankind, but humanity? I don't know. But what I would like to say is we just hope that we've added a little useless brightness.
Well, my buddy John Cook, he's excited. Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop.
So thanks, here's John. A little secret. John is actually... He's tweeting from in the house.
Oh my god!
So our buddy John, he used to work at. Do you remember that store back in the '90s called Structure in the mall? You remember malls?
Yeah, of course.
All right.
Yeah,
so
I love malls.
Here's a fun fact: I was known as Structure Boy in college because I wore so many vests and those weird whatever, the whole wardrobe. I was a fan of their entire catalog, and it's where I met my wife. And she worked with John Cook.
Oh my god! All right, Structure Boy, what do we got to talk about this week?
Let's take it away. All right,
let's do it.
Today, we're going to talk about.
Well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Who are you wearing today?
Oh,
looks like you've got a nice fancy.
I got
shirt
the
on.
meatball, baby. I got the meatball. This is my need some. Give me some space.
Give me some space. I like.
We're going to talk about space a little bit today. Who are you wearing?
I like it. I've got my Goonie shirt on and.
Nice.
I got my kilt on today.
Wait a minute. Okay.
No, it's true. Really. Look.
Is that like your family tartan?
I can twirl and everything.
What you got going on?
It certainly is. That is Fraser Ancient Hunting Tartan. That is my family's tartan.
Nice. Okay.
That is correct.
Well, let's talk about space first because this was delayed a few times, but the Crew 3 mission went to the International Space Station this week.
Yes.
There was a German astronaut, Matthias, who went up. And
papers, please. Papers.
He is going to be. Wait a minute. He's with the ESA, of course, but he is going up with a friend of ours. You remember Simon?
Yeah, he's going with Simon. Yes, of course.
With Simon. So there's a new version. There's a new version of Simon up on the space station. If you haven't, you should Google Simon. It's CIMON.
Yeah.
Right. But
definitely
it's an autonomous floating head of sorts. Yeah. I'm sure that's not the technical, like PR approved, communications approved description, but essentially it's a robotic helper for all the astronauts that are on the International Space Station.
It's a pretty cool little piece of tech.
It is pretty cool.
And I like cool tech.
So we like it. All right. I wanted to talk about social media for a minute.
This is so great.
Dude, this cracked me up.
Yeah.
I just want to show. We can't even describe this. We got to show it. So give us a second.
Folks, while he's bringing it up on the screen, if you would like to get your hands on an actual time machine for a few minutes, go to SpaceHey.com and fill out a profile. It is a direct copy of MySpace, but like old school MySpace. And it takes you right back to the days when social media wasn't destroying democracies and plunging our planet into 1,000 years of darkness. It's really cool, and I highly recommend you check it out. You can certainly SpaceHey both of us. Is that what we were supposed to say, or is it friend?
Is that a thing? I don't know.
Is it like
But look at this. Like it's online. Exactly. I mean, it looks like a carbon copy. That's a word, folks. Look it up. Of MySpace. And here's Graham's profile.
I guess I should update my mood or something. I don't know.
Well, no.
I have some work to do. I have to do my about me and who I'd like to meet.
You do. I don't know much about you other than you look
my
very
interests.
Intense.
I'm very. Wait, hold on. Ready?
Intense.
Oh, let me aim this way.
So here's my question for you. You're gonna. So the big thing with MySpace was you're supposed to like the old song with Weird Al goes. You got people begging for your top 8 spaces because you can have 5 like best friends that are visible on your profile. Remember that was a thing.
I better always be one. Now we got to talk about this.
Now look at this.
What are you doing here?
The other cool thing about MySpace was that you could hack the HTML and the CSS of your profile, and so people would like share these little code fragments. And you just paste it right into your about page. And look, I made it look like a cool CRT display.
Oh, man, wait a minute. I didn't know you liked the Avett Brothers. That's new.
Oh, really?
I never knew that.
How much time do you have?
Did you just discover them? How come I've never heard you talk about them every fucking day?
You haven't heard the gospel of the Aververse? Okay.
No, I have not.
No.
I'm sorry, I'm not briefed in on your musical religion, but it looks. I know you love it.
You know, it is what it is. We're going to talk about TV, folks. And by TV, I mean the streams. So Netflix has a couple interesting things. Tell us. So here's it's not really a rant. It's just a meh. I need you to explain why I should care about live action Gundam.
Sure, no problem, Structure Boy. So the reason you should care about live action Gundam, it's very simple. Do you remember the news last year when they built the full size Gundam in Japan and it actually moves and it looks absolutely amazing? No, that should convince you enough, because this is one of those things where I feel like we have the technology and the sort of, scale to do it right. And I mean, hello, look at that. So there's I love the same energy from Jason there. I just think that there's a lot to the Gundam story, right? There's a whole bunch to it. There's
like robots.
Lots of different, yes. There's lots of different versions.
And then there's more robots apparently, right?
But there's one thing you're missing in that exchange.
Yes.
There's even more robots.
Oh.
So there's robots, and then even more. So I'm just excited about it because I think it'll be cool. I mean, I'd love to see them. I would still love to see live action Akira. I'd love to see live action Robotech, but I'll take Gundam. And we've got live action Cowboy Bebop, by the way, starting next week.
Dude, I started rewatching the anime series, which they also have on Netflix. Highly recommend. So get ready for that. The other thing that I noticed that I don't know much about this, and I hadn't heard about it, but we've got live action Gundam, but then we've got cartoon BladeRunner on Netflix, and I don't know if
idea. Cartoon is the right. Now you're just kind of being a dick about it, but I think it's more structure. This is what it's like with you structure kids. Everything's beneath you. You meet your wives in these stores. It's very bizarre.
Me. I'm just saying it's like CG anime, and that's kind of.
I thought it looked weird. I really did. And the other thing that bothered me is like it wasn't raining. Like that's the whole thing in the Blade Runner universe. Is like it's always raining.
Yes, it's got to be raining. There needs to be like I think you said 157% more rain, right?
Yeah. Look, I'm gonna check it out, but to me, there's Blade Runner and then there's Blade Runner 2049, right? Which almost is better than the first one.
Oh my God. I've watched Blade Runner 2049, I think 49 times at least.
But I watched the Tron Uprising, I think it was called, or something. I watched the Tron anime. It was all right. I remember watching the Matrix or the Animatrix, and then there was another Matrix thing, and they were okay, but I don't know. I'll see. This looks like somebody got a little carried away with Cyberpunk and turned it into a TV show, but we'll see what happens. And this one
there's also a comic book series which I have not read with
Blade Runner, I didn't know that.
Anyhow, let's talk. This is something that got me really misty in the eyes here, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But what are we looking at?
So this is an ad from a 1985 Sears catalog, which I have got to get on eBay and buy me some Sears catalogs. In fact, if there was a subscription where they would start reprinting these catalogs and send them to my house, I would. That is one of those remember, not Nerd Box, but remember you can get the boxes. You pay a monthly
Loot Crate.
fee.
Well, Loot Crate. Why isn't Loot Crate doing this? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, if there was a catalog version of Loot Crate, I'd be all for it. But to me, and I love that Battle Armor Dad shared this. This is like seeing an ad for the Holy Grail, but here's my story.
All right.
I love Voltron. Okay. And if I had my way, do you remember 6 months, a year ago, I bought that Voltron that I thought was full size and it was like this big.
Yeah. And you paid $85 and it came from foreign country, right?
So embarrassing. And I just didn't read. It was so embarrassing. But anyway, I went the other day. There's a store near where I live. It's by the way, if anyone here in Massachusetts, go to the Solomon Pond Mall in Marlborough, Massachusetts. There's an awesome store in that mall called the Toy Vault. It is everything you want it to be. And not only did they have a complete mint edition of the Lion Force, they had a complete mint edition Vehicle Force Voltron. Whoa. And I wasn't sure. Do I bow? Do I?
You should. You need to.
It was it was emotionally overwhelming for me.
You got to get that second mortgage. You need to make that investment, my friend.
I know, dude. And they were in beautiful condition, and they even had the thing at the top there. Can you scroll down? I forget what it's called, but it'll say number 3. The Castle of Lions playset.
Yes.
They had that too. And man,
Oh my
just
gosh.
these toys, like, I hate to say they don't make them like they used to, but they don't make them like they used to.
Look at the prices. So the prices were like astronomical in the day, like in 85, right?
Yeah.
And so getting the deluxe lion set or getting the remote control lion that's 26 inches high, like that was just unachievable for my household.
$66.99, definitely unachievable for mine. $66.99 for the Warrior vehicle set, man. Voltron 1. Oh, interesting.
I mean,
they actually call it
even
Voltron 1 and Voltron 3.
$7.99 for an individual lion, like maybe you could get one. And so here's my story. This was the holy grail for me. I wanted
Definitely.
this so bad. This is one of those toys that, like, I've shown you the Millennium Falcon. That was a big deal. That was like the one present I got for Christmas, whatever the year that was. I wanted this forever. Never could achieve it. So it's still the elusive one that got away from me.
Hey, you know what? You got to get on eBay and you got to treat yourself.
Treat yourself. All right.
I tell you what. Why don't you get the Lion Force and I'll try to get the Vehicle Force, and then we can
my wife
play with them on TV.
I'm sorry. My wife would like to talk to you. Okay.
Okay. Hold on a second. Yes. Hello. Yes, this is Ryan's friend Graham. Yes, the guy that he talks useless. Yeah, that's us. Oh.
Yep.
Oh, she says you've spent enough money on Avet, whatever it is stuff. Yeah, she says you can't spend any more money on.
I knew this would happen.
She said if you buy one more Grogu, you're out on the street. All right, I'll let him know.
Yep.
Sorry, dude. You're out on the street. No more Grogus, no Voltron. So I have to take my offer back. So.
Did she say if I should cancel the Grogu that's on the way, or?
Oh, I'm not gonna.
Okay. I might be in trouble, folks. All right, so let's talk about the next subject, which is Disney Plus Day.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a crazy, I don't know, it's kind of a weird word for me.
Yeah.
However, it's a weird word, but it's got really, really cool content. So let's get into a few of these today, and then we're going to do a deep dive on a future show.
We're definitely going to do a deep dive.
Maybe.
And for those of you who are fans of this show, for all you weeksenders, we take our deep dive episodes really, really seriously. We've done many of them. If you have hours to kill, you should check out our deep dives. But anyway, so this is just a smattering of the goodness, if you will. There's also a lot of Star Wars content that came out today too. There's they gave us a sort of a beginning look at Kenobi, which is going to be ridiculously awesome. They also showed there's like a Boba Fett documentary, which looks pretty cool. So there's a lot of really cool stuff coming out. But I mean, now here, I know what Agatha is. I Am Groot obviously is for the kids. Secret Invasion, I know. I don't know Ironheart. Do you know Ironheart? I don't know that one.
We may have to hand in our geek cards. I don't know that one either. I know everything else.
Moon Knight. There was a trailer for that with Oscar Isaac that looks really good. She-Hulk. Tatiana, I think her name is, from Orphan Black, I think it was called. That is going to be really good. In fact, there's a great scene in there where she says, "Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry." Nice. Spider-Man, Miss Marvel, Echo. I don't. Spider-Man, I know. Miss Marvel, I know. Echo, I don't know. Marvel Zombies, but
yeah.
X-Men '97. This one,
we got to talk about that.
This one intrigued me because I like the idea, if they really own up, if they really deliver on the promise here, that it's going to really look like the original.
Agreed.
I know you were more of a fan of the comic book, so was I. I definitely used to watch this show. It was a little campy, but it was fun. Had a great theme song. Made fun of itself, never took itself too seriously. Had some great X-Men sort of action sequences in it. It was a good cartoon. And this one I will use cartoon for. So there you go.
You remember this?
Of course. Are you kidding me? They have to.
So know what it felt like? The animation never did it for me. It felt like a cheesier version of G.I. Joe, and I love the G.I. Joe cartoon.
Yeah.
But by the time this came along, I just wasn't feeling it. But I was a hardcore comic book snob when I was a kid, so it wasn't like gritty enough for me at the time.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
do like
it wasn't sponsored by Structure, so you would have had a hard time with it.
That's correct.
Yeah.
If it would have had more signature ties and socks, I might have got on board.
God, that looks so good.
It does look good. So if they can keep the cheese factor of the animation, I think you're right. It could be fun.
I think it could be a lot of fun. I'm excited about it. What's next?
Willow.
So this was another thing that came out today, folks. If you have not seen Warwick Davis's tour of his or introduce Meet the Cast video, you have to watch this. It is very, very funny. It's a lot of fun. I'm really excited about Willow. We've talked about this, I think, episode 46 or something, but I loved the movie Willow. I just watched it again not too long ago, maybe 4 or 5 months ago. I still love it. I just think it's a great movie. And I'm really excited that they're going to do another, a new series because there's so much material there. And he's such a great character, Willow Ufgood. So I'm excited about that. And folks, I'd love to know if you're a Willow fan.
I'm a big fan. I want to connect with other Willow fans. I think if Twitter would give us the honor, I would like us to be the stewards of the Willow community on Twitter. I'm ready to take on the mantle.
I'm ready. I'm ready for that. My soul is prepared.
I want to go back to Obi-Wan Kenobi real quick. So we're not putting up the art here because I want everyone to go check it out on Twitter, but they put up some concept art. It's really amazing stuff. I'm really excited about this just because I'm a big fan of Ewan McGregor, of course. Yeah. And to see him like put on the robes and take up the laser swords 10 years later or more, like it's been a long time since he's been in the costume and in that role. But I think he embodies it to such a perfect degree that I'm just really excited to see what they do with this.
I am too. I'm excited by this too, and I think that there's also a lot more to that character storyline. We know there's a lot that's going on, sort of in those interim years where we didn't really see. Obviously we saw him in the prequels, and then we see him many years later. But I'm really excited about this. I think it's going to be really good. I thought the concept art was fantastic. Yeah. If they do it in kind of a Mandalorian sort of Western kind of style, I'm not saying they have to copy Mandalorian. Not everything now has to look like Mandalorian. I'm not saying that.
Yes, it does.
I'm sure Book of Boba will look a lot like that too. But I'm really excited about this, and I also really do genuinely think it's cool that they're bringing back Hayden Christensen. Like if they had recast that role, I think that would have been stupid.
I think you're right.
And he takes a lot of flack for those. And Hayden, look, buddy, I know you're watching. I was just talking to you earlier, but he takes a lot of flack for those prequels. But like, look, man, you're only as good as the, director and.
Well, I'm going to tell you what.
At times,
Episode 2, like Attack of the Clones, gets a lot of hate. Episode 3 is my jam. I loved it. So
yeah, they're okay.
I thought it was epic.
I think every single one of those movies, just like any of the recent movies, has some really great parts. Even the first one. I mean, the pod racing was awesome. But then it also has some really, really bad stuff. And that's kind of consistent across pretty much all of Star Wars. Oh, don't do that.
I'm sorry. I knew it was a mistake as soon as I opened my mouth there.
Stefan, the manager at Structure, would be so disappointed in you for doing that.
He would be. It's John Cook, not Stefan. All right.
Sorry, John.
Let's talk about gaming for a minute. There's a couple of things here, but generally speaking, why are we talking about arcade games again? Come on.
So let me. I'm going to put something in the chat that I want you to share.
All right.
Because this is what sparked it off in my head, and let me find it. I think I gave it to you earlier. Let's see. Yep, here it is. So this, here we go. It's putting in the chat now. So C64 Reloaded, great follow on Twitter, folks, if you are into retro gaming. This week, this individual shared kind of their top arcade games. And this particular one, Stun Runner, is on there. And so I tweeted out that every time I go to every time I go to the arcade museum up in Laconia, New Hampshire, Stun Runner is one of the first games I go and play. It's just I love Stun Runner. And so it made me start to think about like, what are your go-to arcade games? For me, it's games like Stun Runner, Tron, Operation Wolf, what's it, Star Wars. I can think of a whole bunch more. Space Harrier. Right, like there are certain games when you go into an arcade, you recognize a lot of them and you play a lot of them. Right, like the time you and I were at that arcade in, I don't remember where it was, San Francisco or whatever, or Vegas or Orlando. I don't even know.
Orlando, yes.
Orlando. But then there's the games that you really look for, and when you see them, it's like you're seeing an old friend, and it just takes you back in time. Star Wars Cabinet is like that. The cockpit, I mean, is very back in time for me. Stun Runner also. And what was interesting about this was he was also talking about, remember Atari Hard Driving?
Yeah.
So hard driving, like it was sort of like Stun Runner was a descendant of Hard Driving. It was like they sort of took the same kind of graphical approach and made this game. And so, what is your? Oh, see, look at that. Do you remember this game? I love this game.
I don't even know this game, dude. I don't.
It made that funny sound as you drove this thing around. Yeah. You sat.
But my favorites. I mean, I definitely like to. My go-tos are Galaga and Spy Hunter.
Yep, Spy Hunter.
I loved. Gosh, I mean, I was into platformers, so I didn't get so much into racing games, even when they had like the combat aspect.
Road Blasters, man, I'll play that all day long. I just want to go to Bubble City. Like I'm in for Road Blasters.
I also, speaking of the X-Men cartoon, there was an X-Men arcade game where you had like 4 people lined up.
Yes.
And you would like you would fight as a team and you would progress through the levels.
Yeah,
and there's been lots of derivations of that, but I thought that one was cool because you weren't just fighting against someone, you were like working as a team, like very much like Street, what's it called, Street Fighter or whatever, right? Like all of those games.
So they have one of those X-Men machines at the Quarters in Hadley, Massachusetts, and whenever I used to go there with my buddy
Dragon, remember that
Double Dragon, Kevin and Gavin, and we would play that X-Men game, and it was a lot of fun. I don't even know if that place is still around anymore. I'll have to check it out.
So here's a question I want to ask too. Where are your favorite barcades? Because I think it would be really cool that like when we get back to traveling, and you just named off all those cities, like we should have some weeks in barcade meetups or something. That would be pretty cool, right?
We should.
All right, let's do it.
I don't live in a cool part of the world so much as you do. But if I had to pick a favorite barcade, it probably would be either the Quarters, which is small in Hadley, Massachusetts, or in Amherst. There is the Hangar, which is a little, that one's a little better because it's bigger. They have a mix of vintage, retro, whatever, and modern games. So there's a really nice mix, and they change them out a lot. And then the other thing that's cool is they have like, there's just taps all on the wall for different beers, and you buy like a card, you just check it and pour a beer.
Well, even if it's not a barcade, folks, there are plenty of not plenty, maybe there are arcades that still exist. One of my favorites is down at the coast here, and it's like at the pier, and it's like it's been there since the 40s, and like, or not 40s, 60s, something like that. 70s? What decade did we start this? 70s?
I don't know.
Lots of cool games, but I just think that would be a neat idea.
I miss them. I wish we had one here in town. I really love arcades. It's not just the games, it's the ambiance, man, the sound, the smell, the carpets, the lighting. Like it just, like I think about the Dream Machine in Hatfield that I used to go to all the time. And then there was another one. It may have also been a Dream Machine at the Ingleside Mall that I used to go to in Massachusetts. And man, I just love me some. I love arcades. I always have. Ever since I was a kid. It's like an escape.
For sure.
All right. Were horrible.
We're zeroing in on the last 5 minutes, folks. And I think we're gonna need it because we have kind of a cool rant of the week. It's kind of a rant / debate. So without further ado, I'm gonna give me the
floor for my rant of the week. Folks, we're all Star Wars fans, right? And recently those movies are, were replaying on TBS or TNT or whatever channel it was. And of course they played Empire Strikes Back. And of course, if it's on TV, I'm going to watch it. It's one of those movies you put on, you just let it go. But there's one thing that continues to bother me to this day. And it really bothers me because I can't quite figure out where were they going with this scene and what happened. And I bet you can guess the scene in Empire Strikes Back I'm talking about. That's right. It's the weird dinner scene where, Lando's like, I've just made a deal that I'll keep the Empire out of here for, and they like open up the door and there's like this beautiful dining room on Cloud City and there's a table set and Vader's at the end and Chewie freaks out and fires at him and Vader stops it and Boba's there. And I don't understand, like, how long did this dinner last? What did they eat? Who chose the menu? Did Vader eat? If so, how? Did Boba eat, or did he just stand there menacingly? Like, what did they talk about? What was the seating arrangement? Did Leia sense anything? So I don't know about you, but it's just one of those things where it was like that scene has always bothered me because it doesn't make any sense. Like, why did they show a dinner? And did they really all sit down? And I don't know, Ryan, come back on here and console me, buddy, because it just really troubles me. Didn't it trouble you? Like, what do you think?
It did. So Empire Strikes Back is my favorite Star Wars movie. And it is for the reasons that you just described. It's for those same reasons you just described. Yeah. Is that the Cloud City, once you get past the weirdness of Dagobah, even, you get to Cloud City, which is the polar opposite of Dagobah, and you have these weird scenes like that one. And I just think Disney Plus, you really screwed up with Disney Plus Day with not announcing, Cloud City dinner party series or something.
Yeah, what if they did like a great Cloud City Bake Off?
Yeah,
I'm just saying. I'm just saying the idea. I'm putting the idea out there.
I think the protocol droids aren't just
for the idea, but.
The protocol droids and who are the aliens that you see that blew up C-3PO and put things back together. They're, I forgot the name of those guys, but
I think they're just called bastards.
They are bastards, but there's a good bastard in Mandalorian. But anyhow, I am with you.
That's right.
I want to see an explanation of a lot of what happens.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I like, that's one of those things where I know there was no more filmed of it. But like talking to Lucas or the screenwriters or the director, like I'd love to just sit down and be like, and maybe they've answered this somewhere. And if somebody knows, hey, Weeksenders, if you know the answer to this, if there's more detail on a wiki or there's a video or an interview somewhere, I just want to know, like, what was their take? Like, did they just do that and that was how they advanced the scene? Or did they really think there was more to that? And I'd like to know what happened. It has bothered me since I was a child.
Another thing that I'll point out here is that it is one of the only scenes in the original trilogy where a Jedi or a Sith stop a laser blast with their hand. But yet they've leaned into that. I was always fascinated by that because they didn't ever do it in any other scene in the whole film series. And then when you fast forward to the new sequels and you have in the very first scene where we see when we see what's his name, Kylo Ren, he stops a laser in midair, and I'm like, "Whoa, that's a callback."
And actually, I need to fix what I said because I had it wrong in the heat of my impassioned rant. There, it Chewie barks or screams, whatever you want to call it, and Han fires.
Yeah.
Because then Vader pulls the gun out, right? Isn't it something like that, if I remember correctly? Yep. It's hard for me to remember the scene because I was so troubled every time I saw it. Because part of me was paying attention to the dinner setting and was like, is it Cloud City, China, or is it like?
Well, I just wondered if did they prepare the meal for like Boba Fett?
That's what I'm saying.
He was the one bounty hunter that was like smart enough to follow Han and trap them there, right?
Yeah.
But maybe they were preparing like a victory dinner for the whole lineup that was back on the Star Destroyer.
And actually, speaking of that movie and things that bother me, then there's the scene where like the Millennium Falcon is clamped to the back of the Star Destroyer and they dump their trash and they float away with the trash. Remember that? And then they go to Cloud City. And the thing that bothered me about that was like, so you see the floating trash, Falcon pulls off, and then immediately Slave One, Boba's ship moves in behind it. And you're telling me that there was no radar? Like there was no awareness that they were clearly being followed? Or is it like a submarine thing where if you stay in their baffles, Seaman Beaumont, they can't hear you?
Maybe
So I was assuming it was something like that.
I'm going with that, but you know,
a lot
of these scenes, as much as like the science of this science fiction, we've talked about this. It's really space opera, not science fiction.
I know. Right? It's space fantasy. It's not science fiction. That's why
I'll
die on the hill that you can't compare Star Trek to Star Wars, because they're two totally different things.
All right. That's our show, folks.
Thanks for letting me get that out, buddy.
I hope you do feel better. I hope this is one step in the healing process.
I do. I feel
and that's really, if we can get beyond just useless knowledge to a little bit of geek healing, I think we're on to a winning formula.
We're sharing the love here. We're sharing the love.
All right. Well, happy Friday, Graeme.
Happy Friday, buddy.
Happy Friday to all of you watching out there in Weeks In World. Let us know, what are your favorite arcade games?
And don't forget, Goonies, never say die. And do that. Actually, we'd love to know what your go-to arcade games are and what you think of Willow. And stay tuned for our deep dive. It's going to be amazing.
Coming up soon.
It's coming up soon. Watch your calendars.
So we'll see you next Friday, folks. Thanks for watching. Once again, my name's Ryan. This is my
Graeme.
Intrepid companion, Mr. Graeme Knows.
Thank you.
All right, folks.